Gary Reed is hopefully on his way up. He was still signing. But we introduce everybody to the panel here. We have representing Nightmare World, Dirk Manning.
Hi.
For the Six Gun and the Dam, Colin Budd. And on the end we have, what do you want? Tales from the Heart? All right, Bob Howard, Clover the Unknown, and the Apocalypse Plan, Raphael Niebla. And entering the room now, the man behind Caliber Press and Dead World, Gary Reed.
He wanted the grand entrance. Let's give him a standing applause.
So basically, the reason I wanted to call this panel up, for everybody who doesn't know, I am Decapitated Dan.
Woo! Yeah!
I do local podcasts. I'm local, but it's a horror comic podcast. I interview creators such as these fine gentlemen, and we always just talk horror comics, and we do it once a week. Basically, what I wanted to do here was talk about what's going on in horror comics today. You know, we have a lot of subgenres spinning off, you know, and see why you guys are still writing what you're writing, especially because, you know, we're down to like 10% of the market now, you know. So let's start off. Dirk, tell us about webcomics.
My name's Dirk. I'm a webcomic author. I'm Dirk. This is my 9th year doing comic books. I do an online series called Nightmare World for, it's not for Image Comics, part of their Shellline division. I started doing webcomics I started Nightmare World as an online comic in 2002, and what I just did was self-publish. This is back in the stone age of the interweb, and I thought what I had would be a very brilliant idea of like, why don't I take these comics and I'll put them on the internet and like everyone will see them, it'll be great. What happened is we started posting Nightmare World online, which is a series of 52 different short stories. Each story is an RT. And what really worked out well was we would post 2 pages a week every Thursday, about a URL, nightmareworld.com. And we self-published, I said, 52 different 8-page stories over about 6 years. We went from 2002 to 2008, give or take. And after that, we were picked up by Image Comics Shadowline branch run by Jim Valentino. He ran Nightmare World at the Shadowline website, and from there we were able to parlay into print. And it was just a wonderful thing doing online comics because, as you guys all know in this room, those of us that like horror, we like to talk about it, we like to share it, and we're passionate and loyal. And I was just able to build up a very strong readership over the years through the internet. And this was before the Facebooks and Twitters, and I kind of got in on the ground floor with this MySpace a little bit. Remember MySpace? It was like so awesome for like a year. But no, the internet was just really good because it allowed me an opportunity to get my work out there. Back in 2002, no one really wanted to touch what looked like a horror anthology. It's like, dude, dark horror comics are like dead, man. I know, and no pun intended. And so I just published online and, you know, brought the mountain to me, so to speak. So the internet was a wonderful thing. Publishing online was great. Like I said, I've got my 3rd Nightmare World graphic novel collection coming out. We announced it this weekend. Coming out from Image Comics this Halloween. So there you go.
All right. Colin, tell us about the Six Gun.
The Six Gun is a horror western. It's been going now. It's going into its 10th month. This Wednesday is the 10th issue comes out, and it's been collected. The first 6 issues, first arc, has been collected in this trade paperback. It's basically follows 6 cursed pistols that are in the Old West, and the heroes and the villains who are trying to collect those weapons for various reasons. It's an ongoing series that we've got planned out for about 50 issues, and give or take 50 issues. We have the end game in sight. We know what it is, and we've got the arcs leading up to that planned out, and then we'll bring the story to a close. Like I said, it's Dirk was saying, horror comics are tough. Can be a tough sell to publishers, and a horror western was even, it combines 2 genres that publishers don't necessarily always think are going to. It's not always going to do very well in their eyes. in the eyes of the publishers and in the eyes of readers. And it took me a little bit of selling to get this one out there, and Only Press has been very supportive of the book once they saw what it was about. Once they saw what we were doing with it, they really got behind the book. They released the first issue on Free Comic Book Day last year. So it got a lot of exposure to a lot of people who may have never picked up the book to begin with. And that's one of the things, people who are reading this are saying, I don't usually like horror comics, and I don't usually like westerns, but I like this. And it just goes to show those genres, both, the horror genre, there's a lot of stories to tell, and a lot of styles of stories to tell. And I think a lot of people picture one type of story versus, you say horror and they have one thing in their mind, and they don't picture that there's so many, there's such a diverse genre. So it's been very gratifying to see the people who say, I don't usually read books like this, but I like this book.
How about you, Raph? What do you want to say about Bob Howard and your style of horror writing?
My style of horror. Bob Howard is we just released the second issue here at C2E2. Bob Howard is the story of a plumber who doesn't speak. He hears a huge wrench and he battles monsters, Cthulhu-like creatures that emerge from the netherworld. It's a fun story. People who see it and flip through the book respond to it really well. And I like doing it very much. Thank you. It's hard to do. I don't have the good fortune Cullen does in having a publisher like Oni support what I do. We self-publish Bob Howard, and I hope to find a publisher one day who will pick it up and love it as much as I do. But the people who do find the book via Facebook, via the blog, or just coming to conventions, seem to enjoy it quite a lot. And I love talking to people about my book and about horror, and the only way to really do it is to do it at these conventions. What did you say that was 10% of the market?
10%.
Is that significant?
It's a jump.
And the other 90% is what?
I believe.
Crap. I'm assuming you're all here because you like horror comics and you're not just waiting for the next panel to start. So you know what I know, which is horror is a real tough sell in the mainstream. And the people who read horror comics, who buy horror comics, and know that what we do is done primarily for love of the genre. And so, in as much as you're here, you allow us to be here. And without you, this would be one empty ass table. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
That's it. All right. Gary, you tackled the big horror genre, zombies.
Yeah, I do Dead World, which is actually, and actually that started way back in 86, 87. So it's been around a long time. I think we've done 70, 80 issues. Now it's being done by IDW. It was picked up for Image for a while. So it's gone through a lot of 4 or 5 different publishers, mostly with Caliber, when I was running Caliber. Now, the thing about zombies, and I talked to Dan about this, he says, well, what's your favorite zombie movies? I don't watch zombie movies. What's your favorite zombie literature? I don't read about zombies. When I look at the horror, I don't really think of it as horror. I don't think it's sort of a genre. The zombies is a genre, but the horror, I've done a lot of other horror stuff like Sin Eternal, it's going through Dante's Inferno again, and that's horror. And I don't really think of horror as sort of a genre. There's genres in horror like zombies. And even with the zombies though, because I'm not a huge zombies fan, I know that's sacrilegious to say when you're writing Dead World. But I deal with the human side of it, and to me that's the most interesting side. I like to see what humans do to each other, and to me that's the real horror. I'm not into splatter movies or anything like that. It's the surface horror, I guess. To me, it's just surface horror. I like to go deep down more with what people do.